Hi, everybody. It is December 21st. Wow, Saturday. Um, Squirt got me up this morning at 5 a.m. No problems, just he was excited and rambunctious. So I went down and turned the outside lights on and took him outside, and he ran around and sniffed where some bunnies, we have wild bunnies in the area, had gone through the yard, and he was excited by that. And then, of course, at that point, he's some nights he's still, just to keep him calm, he's sleeping uh, in the kitchen in a pen where the other boys are sleeping in the den. Well, taking him out woke them up, so then they wanted to go out. So I had them all running around. Then I put him back in the den with the guys and tried to go back to sleep around 5:30 at that point. And of course, around 6 o'clock, they were all playing and barking. So I got up again. So I've been up since then and just taking care of stuff. This is a fun time of year from the standpoint I'm getting a lot of cameo orders for, you know, holiday wishes to people and birthday wishes and all kinds of stuff. Those are really fun. I've done about, I don't know, 350 of them now. And I enjoy it every time. It's nice to connect with people on that level. Um, it's a cool app. I've got some book orders here, some more for today. I'm going to go fill those out and then go to Home Depot because I got a couple of big clay pots that have broken under pressure from the bottle palms, and then so I need to go get larger ones and replant those today, get that done. And just all kinds of crap going on. It's that time of year where there's always like activity to be taken care of, and just trying to line up next year and get things going and finishing up a couple of projects here. I'm going to go back musically today. And one of my favorite artists, so I've had really fun working with and touring with over the years, is the incredible Veronique Sanson. Uh, Vero is really in France. She is, the Carole King, the Joni Mitchell uh, of France. She's one of the most gifted songwriters, brilliant pianist, great singer. Just a hoot to be with. I first met her, I think, during doing this project, and this was an offshoot of another project I was doing. I was in the studio working with Stephen Stills. I think it was his album called Stills. And he introduced me to his wife, who was Veronique Sanson. And she was pregnant with their son, Christopher. I believe she was still pregnant at that point. I don't think he had been born, I think. And we were doing his album, and he said, "Look, my wife let's cut a couple of tracks for her." And that was kind of how we got started. I think I first met her. I thought we were at Caribou Ranch working, because I know I did one of Stephen's records up there. But this one lists the studios as the record plant in Sausalito, and and I know I worked up there a lot too. So memory is okay, but at times you just kind of go, "What the hell?" But Vero kind of just blew me away. It's kind of like when I was working with Harry Shearer, and all of a sudden we did a gig, and he said, "Oh, my wife's going to sit in with us." And I had seen Judith Owen, in the wings, but I really wasn't familiar with her musically. And she sat down at the piano and completely blew my mind how good she was. And then we became really close after that, and that's when we went in the studio and started recording and touring together. So Vero is the same way. I did this work with her, and then I hadn't seen her until like the early 90s. And then they contacted me to come, and I think the first album I did at that point with her, when I came back to working with her, was Sans Regret. This one is called Le Maudit. But, and then we toured a whole bunch all through the 90s, did several albums and live albums and stuff. And she was and is still a joy to work with. I haven't worked with her in a number of years, and it wasn't because of any weird thing musically or anything. It was a weird thing business-wise with France, where when you go over there and work, because we were recording here and over there, and then all the touring, for the most part, was over there. When you get paid over there, and the people you're working for, the taxes are immediately taken out before you get paid. And then all of a sudden, after a number of years working together, I was starting to get things from the French government saying I owed like 80,000 euros in back taxes. I'm sitting there going, what the hell is this all about? Because all that money had been deducted somewhere in the chain. It didn't get put down, and my accountant, who his assistant, who was the one I dealt with most of the time, she had lived in Paris, spoke fluent French, so all the correspondence were in French. So I know that there wasn't a language issue. And he finally just said, just forget it, because this is ridiculous. They're claiming all this stuff, but they won't show any paperwork or anything like that. And I did a live album, and they withheld my payment for that and never gave me any accounting as to what happened to all that money that they kept. So it's crazy. So I had to stop working with Vero, which broke my heart, because we're still in touch and we're still dear friends, and she's still one of the coolest artists I've ever worked with. And this had nothing to do with her. This was all government bureaucracy. And so, as the old saying goes, shit happens. And but it was really fun. It was a real eye-opener when I got to work with her. And I'm just going to play a couple of songs that we did on this album for you. And on this one, the arrangements on this one were between Vero and the great Jimmy Haskell, who's one of my favorite arrangers in town. I did so many records with Jimmy over the years. The vocals were written, produced, arranged, composed by, and the piano is Veronique Sanson. Percussion on this is the great Joe Lala. I miss Joey. Joey was in Manassas with Stephen. We did a lot of records together, and Joey played with the section for some of our last gigs. He would come in, and it was always funny with Joe. He would show up, and he had this big, like, macaw parrot, and you could tell he was coming because the parrot was always crapping down his back, but he was on the front side, so he wasn't aware of it. And we'd go, Joe, you got to wash that coat. And he was notorious for making some of the best sauce. He would make like spaghetti sauce that you would just go, you should be in this business, Joey, this is good. And then sadly, he passed away a number of years ago. The album was mixed by the great Armin Steiner, Jim Guercio, who owned Caribou Ranch and was another great guy, and Stephen Stills. Guitar on this is Elaine Salvati on this. Let's see, assistant engineer was Steve Mitchell. The engineering was by Bill Halverson, Gary Kellgren, and Pete Romano. Drums on one of the tracks is Conrad Isidore, and Russ Kunkel is on the other one. And, I shared bass duties on this album with Kenny Passarelli, who did a lot of work with Stephen back in those days. So I'm going to go ahead and play these two tracks here. Let me get a little speaker down here plugged in. Yep, I can tell it's working because it just did that. And so again, this album was from 1974, and it's called Le Maudit, Maudit, and it's Veronique Sanson is the artist. And then later on, I'll do some more of her stuff because we did quite a bit, and she's pretty exceptional. So this is a song called Sang Froid, and here we go. It's cool. I haven't heard this in so long. It was really fun with Vero too. One of the last tours that I did with her, uh, uh, we ended up using a 48 or 49 piece orchestra from Prague came on the road with us. And we were touring it's mostly in France or French-speaking municipalities. We would go into like Western Switzerland or Belgium. But we would primarily, I mean, she could just tour practically all year in France, and always packed every place we played. She carried on the road a concert Bosendorfer piano. I mean, watching the crew having to move this thing, which was like a tank. But I remember some shows where, when the show was over, there was blood on the keyboard. She played, was so into it. She was amazing. But when we did the thing with the orchestra from Prague, we had the great Paul Buckmaster out with us at the beginning, conducting, doing arranging with them. And a lot of that was brought about through, she had a keyboard player, arranger that worked with her for many years, who sadly has passed away, named Hervé Leduc. And Hervé was really one of the more gifted guys I've worked with in this business. And it really broke my heart when he passed. He was a young man, but there was so many people involved in her career. And she's had everybody from Kim Bullard to Simon Phillips, you name it, the people I've worked with her over the years. She's an artist that people want to work with. And she's still touring like crazy. I mean, at this point, I mean, I was working with her, 50 years ago, and she's still out there selling out all over France. And I wish I could work with her again. I talked about, we did a video, we did a thing called the Francopholies in La Rochelle, France, back, I can't remember the date on that, but it was all these different artists contributing and paying kind of homage to Vero. And a tremendous amount of artists, but one of my favorite ones was, there was a group called Imuvrini, and they're like one of the top groups to come out of Corsica. And we did one of her songs, and it was she with them. And it is like just a beautiful piece of work. And one of the guys in Imuvrini played the hurdy-gurdy, and there's a solo, and he's just sitting there cranking and playing. It's up, Le Temps Assassin, I think is the name. But if you look up Imuvrini, then capital Muvrini, Imuvrini and Veronique Sanson, and pull it up and see this. It is a gorgeous piece of work. I may have featured it. I just can't remember, and I'm not in the mood to start digging back right now. But I'm going to play one more song from this album. This is called Un peu plus de noir. And again, Veronique Sanson from the album Le Maudit. Let's get that downbeats. Interesting writer.
Pourtant, je l'ai au bout de mes doigts, je l'ai au bout du piano. Mon cœur qui bat sous ma chemise ne me répond plus comme avant. Peut-être a-t-il eu des pensées grises et pleure des larmes de sang. Un peu plus de noir, bien dangereusement. Troubler ma mémoire, caresser ma maison.
It's always fascinating to me when I go and work with artists in other countries, and nobody in the States ever heard of them, yet you walk around with them. Like, because Vero's like completely, she's one of those people, kind of very much like Dolly Parton. Vero is one of these people that would show up at the gig, knew every crew guy, would eat dinner with the crew, hang with everybody. They'd all sit there and smoke and drink together and stuff. None of that hierarchy bullshit. Like, I remember working on a movie, Rhinestone, with Dolly. And man, Dolly came in every day for filming, said hi to every extra, every grip, everybody who worked there. She'd have lunch with them. She is like one of the most, what you see is what you get people. And Vero is like that too. Vero is like just really the most down to earth. So we'd be wandering around, going to shopping malls and stuff like that. And people would go, my God, that's Veronique. Yet over here, like when I worked with Anna Visi and from Greece, same kind of thing, or Yumi Matsutoya in Japan. These are mega artists in their countries. And then over here, people who, it's always kind of interesting when you get a chance to work with people from other countries and really see, how they're related to and, what goes on with them on their turf. But she was, and Vero has a extensive catalog. I'll do some more of her stuff because I loved working with her. But if you want to check out more, just pull up, I'll have her name typed out here and pull up Veronique Sanson, and you can peruse through that. And her son, Christopher's a great artist, really good. And it's her son that she had with Stephen Stills when they were married. And Christopher Stills is worth checking out because Chris is really talented. And he absolutely got the best of Vero and Stephen. He really is a gifted artist. And he came out many times and played with us on the road, but he has completely his own career going. So well worth checking out. So I'm going to get running now. I got lots to do. But we're sneaking up on Christmas, but I'll try to get back. Maybe tomorrow I'll visit the Stephen project that I did, Stills project, when all of this started coming about. But for right now, just going to wish everybody all the very best, and I will talk to you later. Okay, bye-bye.